It's the TGIF edition of Weather for weather geeks, weather enthusiasts, weather nerds, and those who just need a lot more detail in their weather forecast than you're going to find on TV or on an app. This is your video. It is midsummer weekend we're heading into, and so far so good in July as far as temperatures go, and precipitation hasn't been too strange either. We're about a degree and a half, I should say, above average through roughly the first half of the month. Of course, tomorrow marks the sort of halfway point. There's 31 days in July, so 15 and a half days is the halfway point. But for all intents and purposes, this weekend is the halfway point of the month of July and of meteorological summer. June, July, and August. Hard to believe that is about half over. So a degree and a half above average. We've had a handful of cooler than average days, but aside from Monday when it was only 73, we've been within shouting distance of average most of the time. Notice the lack of extreme heat. 87, our warmest temperature so far this month, back on Wednesday. We have not had a 90-degree day just yet in July. All right, precipitation-wise, at the airports, where the official measurements are, approaching 2 inches worth of rain. It's been an unsettled week. We, of course, had a stray shower overnight that led to the trace, and we had a trace back on Wednesday. But yesterday, almost 3/4 of an inch, a half an inch, both Monday and Tuesday. So it's been, a pretty unsettled week. I finally got to mow my yard this morning, but it was a slow process. Everything was very wet and the grass was high. I mentioned the no 90-degree days yet this month. We had one back in the month of June. This is a look back at previous years. We average 8 or 9 90-degree plus days during the calendar year. Last year we had 6. In 2015 we had 4. We had none back in that cool summer of 2014. So far, not that many. In fact, just one, and I don't see a whole lot of 90-degree days coming anytime real soon. As far as the overall temperatures go through the first half of meteorological summer, starting June 1st and taking us through the 15th, our temperatures this year are almost exactly the same as last year. A shade cooler, 69.4 through the first 14 days of the month. We haven't hit the 15th just yet. Last year through the 15th, it was 69.6. Now, this takes into account both highs and lows. The last 2 years very similar. It was, of course, pretty cool during the first half of the summer back in 2015. And back in 2012, of course, that was a very hot summer. And you look back at the last 20 years or so, through the first half of the summer, 2012 it only trails 2005 as far as hot starts to meteorological summer in June in the first half of July. All right, this evening, about 7:46 p.m., some thunderstorms off to our south and east, even as nearby as the Zanesville area this evening. We have a couple of stray rumbles of thunder moving through along the actual front. Here's a look at the last 6 hours via our high-resolution visible satellite picture, and we've just had some fair weather cumulus clouds. It's almost completely clear in a lot of the valley this evening, and notice those towering cumulus off to our south and east associated with the thunderstorms. There goes the front. Now, of course, the air mass is not much different in terms of temperature behind the front, but the dew points are dropping slowly. 63 dew points better than 70. It's not exactly a refreshing September air mass, but we'll take it. Now, I think tomorrow morning can start with clouds. You're going to wake up and say, hey, what happened to our nice weekend? There'll be some clouds around for a time, but I think the sun breaks out reasonably quickly midday and afternoon tomorrow. Should be a great end of the day. And then the forecast on Sunday is a little bit tricky. Now, this particular model, this is our in-house, what we call the RPM model. This is quite a bit faster with this next front than most of our other modeling. It already has this thing blowing through Sunday afternoon. Most of the other modeling is back in here Sunday afternoon. So my suspicion is this is a little too fast, but nonetheless, late Sunday, towards evening, I think, probably towards sunset and into Sunday night, we might see a shower or a thunderstorm. And again, Monday morning, this looks a little fast to me. The front Monday morning is probably, instead of where I have it drawn here according to this model, it is probably more like this, something like that. So I'm going to hang on to the chance for a shower into Monday morning, but Monday afternoon should be pretty nice. Now, the Storm Prediction Center for their Day 3 outlook, which includes Sunday night, it's not just during the day Sunday, it includes Sunday night, has the region in the low-end risk of severe weather. So we'll see if there's a couple of feisty thunderstorms very, very late Sunday and into Sunday night. All right, the longer range. The overall pattern as we go through the next week will feature the core of the heat staying to our west, where it's been most of the summer. So the ridge position, as we go towards the middle of next week, is kind of right over the nation's midsection. St. Louis to Dallas to Little Rock, it's right here. Now, by the middle of the week, we'll be close enough to the center of that heat dome that's going to get pretty warm. I think we'll make it well into the 80s by Wednesday and perhaps Thursday, maybe 86, 87. But we're not going to be under the heat dome, so we're going to have a hard time cracking 90, I think, in this warm spell middle of next week. And it stays pretty warm, I think, through the second half of the week and perhaps into next weekend, although, again, warm, but it's July. You expect that. It doesn't look unusual to me. As long as the ridge axis is centered, not over the Great Lakes, but more in the southeast or the plain states, we're just not going to see much in the way of remarkable heat or unusual heat around here. The 8 to 14-day outlook looks like this. Perhaps cooler than average in parts of the southwest due to some moisture coming in from Baja of California and the Pacific Ocean. But warmer than average temperatures seem pretty likely Pacific Northwest, plain states down into the southeast, maybe a little cool up in New England. For us, there's not much of a signal either way as we go into the longer range, 8 to 14-day. So, it doesn't look like a real cool pattern, but it does not look like the kind of pattern that we're going to see, a handful of 91 to 93 to 95 degree days like we can see at this time of the year. This is the hottest time of the year, climatologically speaking. So a seasonably warm pattern looks to be with us probably through the end of July, but any sort of big-time heat seems pretty unlikely at this point. Hope you have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for watching Weather for Weather Geeks. This video and my 7-day forecast and everything else will be back Monday evening, and you can check out my forecast tonight on 21 News at 11 o'clock.